Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, February 7, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what that's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have a high pressure ridge right there across the southeastern United States. We can also see that we have another high pressure ridge across the waters to the north of the main development region. That's responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds off of Africa, and it's pushing a lot of Saharan dust from the Sahara Desert across the main development region, and it is actually making a curve right there to the north right before it enters the Caribbean. We can also see the blue line right here associated with the cold front that has been affecting portions of the Caribbean this week. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that cold front still blanketing sections of the central and eastern Caribbean with clouds, showers and thunderstorms. We can see these clouds stretching as far as Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, sections of the ABC Islands into portions of Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Leeward Islands. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, February 7. It was stated that we would have received some amount of rainfall across sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica, not to mention the very cool and windy weather across the island. And we know when we're talking about northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And yes, we indeed had those clouds across sections of some northern parishes coming in from the northwest with that wind. We saw most of that rainfall in the morning hours. In the afternoon we got more so in the way of some partly cloudy skies, but throughout the day it was quite cool and windy, hence this post on our Twitter page. And keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but our Facebook or TikTok and Instagram. At Facebook we're at Weather Jamaica 876, at TikTok we're at Weather Jamaica, and Instagram weather.jamaica. On Twitter right here we're at Weather Jamaica. So we posted this map from Windy, that website, highlighting the winds coming in from the northwest, and we saw the cooler than average temperatures across the island. 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, could have been cooler than that. 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. It was definitely cool in some spots, and we got a mixture of the cool weather across the island. And we also had the followers confirming the cool weather. We had on our Twitter page Brielle stating wind coming straight up north right off the snow. Jam Mekia Queen stating cold and breezy in my area. Petrina Davis stating stuffy nose a kill me. Even on our Facebook page we had Kay stating cool here in St. James. Carol stating cool and windy in Ocho Rios. Sophia loving it. Shayna Lay stating Portmore nice. Just want some rain now, but we cool over here. And even on our Instagram page we had commenters confirming the weather. Dextria stating wrap up. The Leo Girl 26 stating cold in Ochi, and Portmore Bell Nas stating Greater Portmore very cool. So that indeed confirms the weather that we got across Jamaica for today. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we still have that flow coming in from the north, the winds and the low level clouds. On the Doppler radar images from the Cuban radar site, however, we don't see much taking place at this time. As it relates to the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 21 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 22 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, and the temperature should dip down to about 20 degrees Celsius as we head to 3 a.m. on Thursday. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can still see that 18Z on a Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. according to this GFS forecast, is showing that Jamaica should still be embedded in a lot of blues and greens that represent some below normal temperatures, anywhere from 3 to 4 to even 5 degrees Celsius below normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of February across Jamaica are about the same as 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. And we're going to be receiving temperatures that are 4 to 5 degrees Celsius below normal tomorrow. So anywhere from 25 to 30 is what is being expected. As it relates to the dry air map, we can see the dry air is represented by the yellows, oranges, reds on the key at the bottom. We do see that the cold front definitely brought a lot of dry air, and we still have a lot more coming in from the north. We do see more in the way of blues across the central and eastern Caribbean associated with a lot of moist air that the cold front is embedded in right now. We can also see a lot of dry air across sections of the main development region, and all of that is associated with the Sahara dust. We can see it even better right here on this map showing 2 p.m. on Thursday. That's tomorrow's forecast. We can see where the Saharan dust will be, as represented by these brown colors across sections of the Windward Islands, sections of Dominica southward, so Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana. But we do see that it is more so in the way of some lighter shades of browns. What we don't want to see is those darker shades of browns that are closer to Africa. That's what we call the vigorous plume. That would definitely trigger some asthma and sinusitis in some people, not to mention bring forth some hazy skies. And with the high pressure expected to curve, it's good that it's not going to be making it into the central and western Caribbean, including Jamaica at all. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we're seeing more in the way of blues surrounding the island tomorrow. No more high wave heights at all. And we know that, as we can see by the key on the bottom right, all of this represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave heights to at least 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be coming in from the northeast, not that strong. We see more blues than anything else that represent 0 to 5 knots, close to 10 knots, and the greens that represent 15 to 20 knots at most. But with that northeasterly wind, we know what usually happens. We could get some relief rainfall continuing across northern Jamaica. We know relief rainfall is when we have those prevailing winds coming in from the northeast through the windward passage between Cuba and Haiti. And then we have all of that air rising, the temperature is cool, then we have these clouds forming and condensing, and then we have all of that rainfall on the north coast of the island. So let's say we're looking to the east, and let's say this is the Blue Mountain Range right here, excuse the snow, and we do see that this is usually what happens. We have all of those winds coming in from the north or the northeast, then we have those clouds bringing forth some amount of rainfall. Then this side of the land is the south coast, and we usually have the rain shadow. So it makes sense that the north coast of Jamaica, especially during this dry season, is usually receiving the most in the way of rainfall, keeping the Jamaica Fire Brigade very busy on the south coast with a lot of bushfires, not to mention building fires. So we know northern parishes. As for reference, again, we're talking about Portland, St. Mary, St. Antrelonny, St. James, Hanover, and that's definitely where we're going to be getting in on most of that rainfall tomorrow. We can see that as early as 5 a.m., the Euro model and the GFS model are showing blues that represent rainfall across those very areas. Even skipping ahead to about 9 a.m., we still see much of the same on both the Euro and the GFS models. And the thing about these maps, when we see agreement like this, when we see consensus, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. And it makes sense that the accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing that most of the rainfall should be across northern Jamaica. Even although it's not much in the way of rainfall, rainfall is definitely expected, more so across the northern parishes during the morning hours. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting in on some amount of rainfall for tomorrow. We're in the month of February. We usually receive up to 65.4 millimeters of rainfall. So yes, we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of dent in the hydrological drought that could come forth before we head into the wet season of May. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we do see that we have a lot of clouds coming in from the north associated with the flow brought about by that cold front. So section of the Bahamas, Cuba getting on some of the action, section of Honduras, not to mention Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, northwest and central Venezuela, not to mention section of the ABC Islands getting in on the action. Definitely some very heavy weather occurring across the Leeward Islands, anywhere from the Dominican Republic eastward to Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, sections of Antigua and Barbuda. Definitely getting in on some very heavy weather as we speak. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of those areas, this does indeed confirm what we just saw in the satellite images. You know, Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall, so the greens represent light to moderate rainfall, the yellows to oranges, and reds represent some moderate to heavy rainfall. We do see that Puerto Rico is blanketed at this time with rainfall all across the island, light to moderate to even heavy rainfall at that in some spots. We can also see that rainfall across sections of the British Virgin Islands right now, not so much the US Virgin Islands at all at this time, but we do see that line of showers and thunderstorms across sections of St. Kitts and Nevis right now. Definitely affected sections of Anguilla and St. Martin earlier today, and it's definitely on its way to affect sections of Antigua and Barbuda right now. But we can see that areas to the south of there are in the clear. So anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, as we can see on the Barbados radar, quite in the clear right now. As it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall that we mentioned a while ago across sections of Venezuela, section of the ABC Islands getting in on the action as well. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18 on Thursday. That's actually 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we do see the above normal temperatures plaguing majority of the Caribbean, as represented by the blues, the greens. Above normal temperatures should start to come back into sections of the Gulf of Mexico. It's already plaguing sections of the United States. The Eastern Caribbean still getting in. Well, Eastern Caribbean in terms of the Windward Islands more so, still getting in on those above normal temperatures as represented by those yellows and oranges. Not to mention the section of South America right there, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, majority of the Saharan dust should be affecting sections of the Windward Islands, but we don't see that very dark shades of brown like what we have closer to Africa, and we're indeed grateful for that. We know all of that has to do with vigorous plume that has, to bring some amount of hazy skies, as well as trigger some asthma and sinusitis issues in some people. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see that majority of the Caribbean should be getting in on the blues that represent, as we can see by the key on the bottom right, anywhere from 0.5 meter to at least 1.5 meter wave heights. While we do see those purples across the waters to the north of the Caribbean right there. The purples and burgundies represent anywhere from 2 to 3 to even 4 meter wave heights, and that's because the winds are still going to be kicking up associated with that air of low pressure coming in from the north, which explains those high wave heights. For the most part, we can see the winds coming in from the north across majority of the Caribbean, northeast across the Greater Antilles. We can also see where the air masses meet associated with that cold front right. For tomorrow, right here across sections of the Leeward and Windward Islands, that's where the winds are coming in from the southeast associated with that high pressure, coming in from the north right here across the Leeward Islands associated with that cold front, and all of that's traveling up to the northeast. Either way, as it relates to the winds, we can see that most of these winds should be averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 knots. Where we see those yellow pockets right there, it could be gusting up to 25 knots in some spots. As relates to the rainfall forecast now. We know that anywhere we see greens and yellows could be some amount of isolated showers. Section of northern Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic, eastern Cuba, section of the southern Bahamas, as well as the Turks and Caicos could get in on the action. Section of northern coastal areas of Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama, section of Colombia, Venezuela getting in on the action. And we also see that definite section of the ABC Islands, as well as areas to the north of there, are going to be getting on that heavy weather still, if they're not already getting it right now. So Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis sections of Antigua and Barbuda, section of Guadeloupe could get in on some of the action, not to mention section of Dominica as well. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus or agreement like this, the chance of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.